All right, today we're going to demystify one of the biggest steps for couples in Australia, figuring out if you're eligible for the temporary partner visa, the Subclass 820. Let's jump right into what you absolutely need to know. So if you and your partner are dreaming of building a life together down under, you already know that the whole visa process can feel, well, pretty daunting. This explainer is here to be your guide, giving you a clear path through that crucial first stage, using information straight from the source.
So what exactly is the Subclass 820 visa? Think of it as the official launchpad. It's the temporary visa that lets you live here in Australia while you're on the journey towards the permanent partner visa, the Subclass 801. Nailing this first part is everything.
To make this as straightforward as possible, we're going to tackle it in 5 key parts. We'll quickly touch on what the 820 visa is, then dig into the core requirements, how you need to define your relationship for the government, some potential roadblocks you might hit, and finally, the official checks everyone has to clear. Okay, let's start with the absolute basics. These are the non-negotiables, the foundational pillars of your application. If you don't meet these, you're pretty much stopped before you even start.
First things first, a super simple but incredibly important question. Where are you physically located right now? Because for the 820 visa, your location when you hit submit is a strict rule.
Here's the deal. You have to be in Australia when you apply. But there's a big catch you have to look out for. It's called a no further stay condition. If your current visa has this, like the common 8503 condition, it's basically a stop sign. It prevents you from applying for most other visas while you're here. Now, you can ask for a waiver, but that's a whole other process you have to sort out before you apply. So your very first step? Log into Vivo, the government's visa check system, and see exactly what your conditions are.
Next up, you can't do this alone. Your application is tied directly to your partner, who has to step up as your sponsor. Your sponsor, which is almost always your partner, has to be an Australian citizen, a permanent resident, or an eligible New Zealand citizen. And listen, this next point is absolutely crucial. Once you lodge that application, you cannot change your sponsor. The person who sponsors you for this temporary 820 visa has to be the same person who sponsors you for the permanent visa down the track.
Okay, this one's a quick one, but it's a hard rule. The Australian government has a very clear minimum age for anyone applying for a partner visa. It's really simple. You have to be at least 18 years old when you submit your application. It doesn't matter if you're married or de facto, the rule's the same for everyone. It's just a firm line that aligns with Australian law. And now we get to the real heart of it, proving your relationship is genuine, ongoing, and fits the government's specific definitions. This is the biggest part of your application. The government really sees 2 main categories here. If you're a spouse, it's straightforward. You need to be legally married. If you're a de facto partner, you have to prove you're in what they officially define as a de facto relationship, and the evidence you'll need for each is quite different. For all the de facto partners, this number's huge. The government standard is that your relationship must have existed for at least 12 continuous months right before you lodge the application.
But what if you don't quite have those 12 months under your belt? Well, there are a few potential workarounds. The most common one is to officially register your relationship with an Australian state or territory. In many cases, that can waive the 12-month rule. Other, less common exceptions involve showing really compelling and compassionate reasons or some specific situations with humanitarian visas.
Okay, I really want you to pay attention here, because this is a direct quote from the Department of Home Affairs. It's a warning about a super common mistake that can cause major problems. People fill out Form 888 thinking it's the legal document they need, but it's not. So what's the right document? You need to provide at least 2 official Commonwealth statutory declarations. These are serious legal documents. The people signing them have to be Australian citizens or permanent residents, and they need to provide proof, like a copy of their passport. And timing is key. These declarations have to be made within the 6 weeks just before you lodge your application. All right, let's shift gears and talk about potential roadblocks. These are things in your visa history that could stop you from applying altogether. You absolutely have to check these before you invest any time or money. This is a huge one for anyone who's been in Australia on one of the skilled regional visas. The whole point of those visas is to encourage people to live and work in regional areas, and the government enforces that with specific conditions. And these waiting periods are no joke. If your last visa was a 475 or a 487, you must have held it for a minimum of 2 years before you can even think about applying for a partner visa.
For the newer 491 or 494 visas, that wait is even longer, 3 years. There's no getting around this.
Here's another key question about your current visa status. The type of visa you're on when you apply, or if you're on one at all, can make a massive difference to your application.
So what is a substantive visa? Basically, it's any regular visa, like a student visa, a work visa, a visitor visa. What it is not is a bridging visa. And if you apply without holding a substantive visa, the bar gets raised way, way higher. You'll have to prove there are compelling reasons to grant you the visa, and it's even tougher if you've had a visa canceled or refused in the past.
Okay, we're on the home stretch. Let's talk about the standard checks that every single applicant has to go through, no matter what their story is. Think of these as the final hurdles you have to clear.
Everyone has to meet the health and character requirements. That usually means getting medical exams and police checks. You also can't owe any money to the Australian government. And finally, you have to do a little reading. Confirm you've read the Life in Australia booklet and sign the Australian Values Statement, which is your promise to respect the local laws and way of life.
So there you have it. That's the roadmap for the Subclass A20 visa eligibility. It's a journey for sure, and one that demands careful planning and a whole lot of attention to detail. The only question left is, now that you have the map, is your application truly ready for that journey?